Now, it's the milestone birthday of probably one of the most influential figures in English literature. Well, Herbert George Wells was born 150 years ago, and with works like The Time Machine and War of the Worlds, the writer paved the way for what we know as science fiction today. But there was much more to him than that, and a festival in his honour is demonstrating that now. Our reporter Nicole Riz has more.
It's a festival to celebrate the author who's also known as the father of science fiction. With a wide range of talks about H.G. Wells's life and legacy, the University of Portsmouth gives people the opportunity to learn more about the writer who did not only describe futuristic scenarios.
I think he is probably best known nowadays for The Time Machine, which was also his first novel that was published in 1895 and is one of the really very first proper science fiction novels. He followed that with a number of other scientific romances. That is a term that is given to those books. The War of the Worlds is probably best known as well. We have The Island of Dr. Moreau. The Martians is another one. But he also wrote lots of social critical comedies like Kipps and the History of Mr. Polly. He was very aware of the social inconsistencies in societies and the unfairness of late Victorian and Edwardian Britain. He was very concerned with the social hierarchies and really fought for the plight of the working classes and for women as well. Saying that, though, again, he was quite a controversial character in that respect, because even though he fought for women's liberation and wanted them to have exactly the same rights as men, he also was a serial womanizer and had quite a lot of extramarital relationships. But he used those to, again, push the rights of the women he was with, and he had quite a lot of relationships with quite well-known British women writers, for example, and really pushed for them to have similar kinds of rights when it came to publishing, when it came to copyright, when it came to pay.
Wells spent 3 years working as an apprentice in a draper's shop in Southsea. And women's rights were not his only field of interest. He also developed ideas for universal human rights.
One thing that isn't really known about H.G. Wells is that he is really also the creator of is very much behind the League of Nations, and he wrote the basis for what is now the UN Declaration of Human Rights. He believed that the world would only have a future if all the nations lived together in a union. So after the Second World War in particular, that was obviously something that was being picked up with the foundation of the UN.
The festival will be going on until late November. Nicole Riz, for That's Solent.